Good evening and welcome to the February 19th, 2019 Finance Committee meeting. Committee members present this evening, myself, Councilor Di Natale, Councilors Boschman and Zarella. Councilor Walsh is away, and President Kuchmarek indicated he will not be making the meeting this evening either due to a prior commitment. We will start with, I would like to announce that FATV is recording and broadcasting this meeting. I ask anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name and address. Seeing none, I will begin with a public forum. If there is anyone in the audience who wishes to address the committee, they may do so at this time. You may speak on any item appearing on the agenda for not more than 3 minutes. Please stand and state your name and address and the item on which you wish to speak. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak? Seeing none, we will move on to the agenda. 028-19, a petition to establish an ordinance in the appropriate section of the City Code for wages of City of Fitchburg poll workers, according to the attached table, to be in compliance with minimum wage laws. This was granted by the Finance Committee February 5th, 2019, but sent back to Finance by City Council on same date. City Clerk Farrell is here to answer any follow-on questions from our last discussion. Councilor Boschman?
I asked this petition to be sent back to the Finance Committee because I believe that the pay raises that we're proposing every year up to 2023 should start off right at 2022, where the inspector gets $14.25 versus $12 an hour. I believe that the reason why I did that, I believe that you have a lot of senior citizens working the polls, if I'm not mistaken, and some of them can use the extra money, and that way if they're not here for the next 5 years or 4 years, at least they'll be making $14.25 starting now. And all the other ones that get a raise, the warden, the clerk, the inspectors, the automat, the inactive voter processor, and the bilingual assistants. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's good for the city. I think you get good qualified people they'll want to be coming and being on there and probably for a long time. So that's how I feel, and that's why I'm asking for your support, councilors.
Just a question on Councilor Boschman's suggestion. We have a communication, or I have an email here from Mrs. Farrell that I will enter into the record, Mr. Auditor, if I could, where it states that if we were to adopt the 2023 rates up front, not the 2022 that you mentioned, it would be about a $30,000 extra cost next fiscal year? Is that how I read that?
It's, no, it's overall.
Overall, it would be $30,000.
Yeah, right.
From fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2023.
Correct.
Okay. So that's that's a 4-year period. So that would be about $8,000, $7,000.
Yeah.
But if we were to implement those raises all at once, it would be a $30,000 increase next fiscal year, and that would be flat afterwards. Correct? Because I'm using the current budget as a baseline.
Right, that's correct.
So,
yeah, if you jump from one right to 2023. Yeah.
And if we just stuck at the current plan, or the current proposed schedule, the increase for FY 2020 would be what? If we stuck to the initial
Well, it
proposal?
goes up, if you use the incremental amounts going up year to year,
I see that right
next year would be $9,400.
Okay.
And then in 2020, a little over 10,000, 4,000, 2,000, and then it flattens out. But it's an overall increase of 26.6.
So the committee has a choice as to whether they want to adopt a rate schedule where the full 26,000 increase begins in fiscal year 2020 and then remains flat, or to adopt the incremental raises that are on this schedule you should have in your possession as was originally proposed. So clerk already read off the incremental increases. So do we want to have it all up front, or do we want to have it spaced out? So,
Mr. President,
yes,
Chair,
Council
Mr. Chair, I want to point out to you that we're not going all up front. We're going to year 2022.
Okay.
And then they still get a raise at year 2023 of 75 cents, with the lowest, that's being the lowest pay.
I think it would be 25,000 then, would be the upfront increase if we go to
So-
2022.
So I'm gonna go with the year 2022, and the increase total would be, what would be the increase? 19, 23, 20, about 25,000, right?
My issue with that proposal is, looking at what our, union contracts are and how we negotiate contracts there, it's always incremental, a percentage each year, whereas this is being done all up front. As one standpoint. The other standpoint is I don't find it necessary to just automatically increase the budget next year by $25,000 when we don't have to. And have that money be dedicated to something else when that budget is proposed. I know it's small money in the whole grand scheme of things, but if we have an option right now whether to spend the full 25 up front or just spend 9,000 next year. So it's a $15,000 savings in year one when you space it over time. And, I would be in support of doing the initial incremental increases as was proposed, but I understand your viewpoint, Counselor, and your methodology behind this. Counselor Zarella?
Normally, I am not in favor of throwing more money at something than we have to either. But given that we've been told we can afford it, and given that these are, I was kind of shocked last year on election day. I had never done a full election day before until I was standing out with my own signs and whatnot. It's a long day. And the poll workers, it's an important job and I think largely a thankless job. Everyone just kind of sees it as part of the machinery that rolls along. I think, given that this is something worth spending our money on, not from a standpoint of, necessity or of any kind of broader program, just so much as this is something that I'm not sure should be paid at a minimum wage level, regardless of what the current minimum wage is. If it was going to cut into something that we knew we were going to need the money for otherwise, or if it was a much larger number, I would probably feel differently about it. Which, again, I'm open to being told that I'm wrong about that. But as I see it, it's kind of, let's do something for these people who dedicate their time and effort to helping our system run.
It's before you, counselors.
I make a motion that we accept to go up to the year 2022, pay raises.
So the motion would be would it be to amend the petition?
It would.
So Counselor, we need a
Oh,
motion to
sorry.
amend it.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the position.
Okay, so the motion has been made and, is there a second? Seconded to amend 2819, and the amendment would basically reflect that the starting per hour rates for poll workers will reflect in FY 2020 the FY 2022 rates, and then incrementally increase to FY 2023 rates, and then beyond that would stay at the 2023 for now. Correct?
After that, after 2023, there's no raises, which we have to come back in front of the
2022,
council.
so the 2022 rates would be reflective in the FY 2020 package, and then 2023 incremental increase, and then it stays flat after that.
And would that be the adjusted rates she has on her new sheet?
That's not right.
Yes, the adjusted rates on her new sheet, right, that are rounded?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, can I, Mr. Chair,
On the
may I ask
motion, yep.
one question?
Yep.
Ms. Farrell, That's not counting fiscal year 2019, we're going right to 2022. We're gonna start this year, 2022.
Is that what you're proposing, Council?
That's what I'm proposing.
Well, we're working on our FY20 budget
Okay,
now.
all right.
So you are saying that in that budget, we're going right to the rates as written on the spreadsheet, January 1st, 2022. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
So I have a motion made and seconded to amend 2819. All those in favor of amending it?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. Other motion?
I'll make a motion that we go to the year 2022.
A motion made and seconded to adopt 2819 as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One in opposition. Councilor Di Natale passes 2-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I did. Not against the amendment. It was 3-0 for the amendment, 2-1. Yeah. Next, moving on to 30-19. In order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $300,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to the following Department of Public Works snow and ice accounts. Personal services overtime, $70,000. Equipment rental, $90,000. Plows and blades, $50,000. And salt, $90,000. We have a letter here from Mr. Laxo, Commissioner of Public Works, dated January 31st, to the mayor. I respectfully request that $300,000 be transferred from available funds to the following snow and ice accounts that I just read. This request for $300,000 will increase the total snow and ice budget for FY19 from the original budget of $500,000 to $800,000. In an average winter, our final snow and ice budget is about $1 million, so it would not be surprising if another appropriation request is required later this winter. And I think I speak for everybody where I say I hope that is not the case. Commissioner, anything you'd like to add to that letter?
Yeah. Before the meeting, I handed out a sheet with the snow and ice breakdown
Yes.
through yesterday, and out of that 300,000, we've already spent almost $200,000, so chances are pretty good that I'll be back.
Oh, yippee.
I make a motion to accept the 30-19.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 3019. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Next, we'll move to 3119. Order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $450,000, same to be charged against available funds, and credited to DPW capital expenditures equipment for the purpose of acquiring various vehicles in the DPW fleet. And a letter here, January 29th of this year, from the Commissioner to the Mayor. I respectfully request approval of the Mayor and the City Council for the appropriation of $450,000 from available funds towards the purchase of various vehicles to replace those in the DPW fleet that are unsafe or require frequent repairs. 3 2019 Chevrolet one-ton dump trucks with plows, $160,977. These trucks will replace the following: 1996 Chevrolet one-ton dump that needs to be taken off the road due to a bent frame, 2006 GMC one-ton dump that has been taken off the road due to a broken frame, and 2009 GMC one-ton truck that has an unstable, unusable dump body due to rust. A 2019 Freightliner six-wheel dump truck, hot mix truck, $110,108. This truck will replace a 1995 International truck that has 222,000 miles on it and is subject to frequent breakdown and repairs. A 2019 John Deere backhoe for $120,000. This backhoe will replace a 1995 New Holland backhoe, which has many hydraulic leaks and has logged high usage, 9,521 hours. And lastly, used dump trailer, $59,000 estimated. Our 1992 Hill dump trailer had because the rear axles are rusting off the truck. A used trailer in good condition will suit our needs. Anything else you'd like to add, Commissioner, to that?
No, I don't. Unless you do.
Council Boishman.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say it's about time the DPW comes in front of us. We have 3 safety people. We get the police, we get the fire, and we have the DPW. And in my opinion, since I've been on here 6 years, it's about time we start spending money on the DPW and their equipment, because they are a public safety, and they're very important. And I want to say thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. President, I make a motion that we accept this 31-19.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 31-19. Just speaking on that, Commissioner, how much, did we not approve free cash requests last fiscal year for some equipment in the DPW, or the year before that? I know we purchased a few sizable new pieces of equipment.
Yeah, I believe we did last year, and in the past, we've used, short-term borrowing and also some Chapter 90 funds.
What was the big one? There was like one for like 200,000 we bought,
Yeah, the vac truck.
the vac truck.
But that was done underneath the MS4 program, sir. At the $400,000 that we appropriated back in 2017.
Council, the MS4 money was initially budgeted, then it was removed before the budget was approved, which became free cash because it was going through federal litigation. So let's not act like it was supposed to be for something and we just raided that account to give them a new vac truck that they already needed.
They needed it. It was part of the program. Thank you, Mayor, for backing me up.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make that point that there has been investments made in the DPW for the last couple of years on equipment. All those in favor of 3119?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. 3219, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $36,094 to be charged against available funds and credited to DPW streetlight maintenance, $23,883, and DPW traffic signal expenses, traffic signal maintenance, $12,211, for the purpose of repairing fixtures and poles damaged by hit-and-run drivers. A letter January 29th, 2019, to the mayor by the commissioner. I request approval of the mayor and the city council for the appropriation of $36,094 from available funds for the replacement of streetlight fixtures and poles and pedestrian signals with poles that were destroyed by hit-and-run drivers. Ordinarily, the cost to replace such equipment is recovered from the drivers' insurance companies, but we have had a series of hit-and-run cases with no means to recover the cost from the drivers. Losses include streetlight decorative on North Street opposite the fire station, street light with aluminum pole, Boulder Drive, Montour's, street light with aluminum pole, Main Street, Boulder Art Gallery, pedestrian flashing signal pole, River Street, Casey's Pub, traffic signal pole, Water Street at Benson Street, and Moran Square pedestrian signal pole. And the quotes were attached. Anything to add, Commissioner, to that?
No, usually we only have one or two of these every year, but this year we've had a rash of run incidents, and yeah, that leaves us left holding the bag on these.
Is this the first time? How frequent, I don't recall having an order like this last year for hit and run, or some of these poles been broken since then?
Yeah, I mean, in the past, we've only had one or two hit and run accidents each
Okay.
year. This year there happens to be 6, and it was more than we could handle in the budget.
Okay.
I got one question for
Council
the
Boschman.
Commissioner. Mr. Commissioner, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but on the traffic signal maintenance on Main Street, what took so long for us to fix that from a blinking yellow light or red to a green, yellow, and red? Because I get some complaints where people were so used to it blinking yellow that they just kept going through. And I think I told Calvin this today, and they kept on going through on Main Street, driving up Main Street, and all of a sudden, after months being that way, you get accustomed to it, and all of a sudden they're driving, and there was almost a head-on collision at that intersection of Oliver and Main Street, because all of a sudden now the lights are working. What was the holdup? That's all I'd like to know.
Well, there was no holdup. We intentionally had the lights on flash because it improved traffic flow. But recently, the police chief asked us to reinstitute those lights for pedestrian safety. You know, we had tried it with buttons, that pedestrians could activate when they want to cross Main Street, but yeah, they felt it would be safer if we went back to full
Okay,
traffic signal there.
all right. Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate that. I make a motion, we accept 32-19, unless you got a question for the
No,
Commissioner?
second.
Motion made and seconded to accept 32-19. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. 3319, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $18,488, same to be charged against available funds, and credited to parks expenses, building and grounds repairs for the purpose of asbestos abatement at Coolidge Park. A letter dated January 30th, 2019, from the Commissioner to the Mayor, to request approval from the mayor and city council for $18,488 to cover the cost of asbestos abatement at Coolidge Park soccer field. Fragments of asbestos transite shingles were found by a resident in the field. In accordance with DEP requirements, DPW filed a work plan that was approved by DEP and hired a licensed abatement contractor to rake the field and legally dispose of the asbestos fragments. The work was monitored by a licensed asbestos monitor. All told, there were less than 24 fragments found, each smaller than a half dollar. The public was never in danger, as it takes long-term exposure to airborne asbestos particles to result in potential health issues. The work was completed in September of 2018 and was paid from the park's budget. However, the cost was unanticipated during the FY19 budget process and would have a severe impact on the park's budget for the remainder of the fiscal year. The costs included licensed abatement contractor, A&E Environmental, $15,988, and a licensed abatement monitor, LeBlanc's Environmental, $2,500. Anything to add to that, Commissioner?
No, that pretty well covers it.
Motion to approve?
I'll second the motion on the motion.
Motion made and seconded to approve 3319. Speaking on the motion, Counsel Boishman.
I can't believe that we spent $19,000 for 25 small pieces. I just can't believe it. Really, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. $19,000 for 25 small pieces, no bigger than a half a dollar. Really. And we used to play with that stuff when we were kids. It's unbelievable. You know, probably I shot that damn thing in there, in that park, when I was a kid. Really. Unbelievable.
Well,
That's
it's,
a lot of money, $19,000.
Well, it's a really
Crazy.
large area, and the whole thing had to be raked, and there was no way of knowing before they started how much they would find, and there wasn't a whole lot.
You know, the party that found it should have went around, just picked them all up and put them in a bag and get rid of them. Really.
I'm sure the DEP would have greatly appreciated that.
All right, thank you. That's it.
Councilor Zarella?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that I agree it's a ridiculous cost, but there's nothing we can do about it. That's how much these specialists cost, and we need them in case it had turned out to be a more serious contamination. I'd also like to note that the headline tomorrow should not be Councillor Boishman contaminates Coolidge Park with asbestos.
Okay, so a motion's been made and seconded to approve 3319. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you, Superintendent Withington, for joining us as well this evening. Failed to mention that. Thank you.
And keep up the good work, guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Moving on to 3419, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $144,879 to be charged against available funds and credited to police capital expenditures, vehicle replacement for the purpose of replacing 3 police vehicles. Letter from January 28th to the mayor by the chief. The Fitchburg Police Department is respectfully requesting a supplemental appropriation of funds for the FY19 budget that would be used for the purchase of 3 new police vehicles. The anticipated cost to replace 3 police vehicles is $144,879. I have attached a quote for 1 fully equipped police vehicle. The front line of police vehicles in the city of Fitchburg consist of 7 marked police vehicles. The police cars are on the move 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Each marked police car will average 35 miles each year. More concerning is the actual engine hours, which triples the odometer reading. Currently, our entire frontline vehicles were purchased with premium warranty with $0 deductible up to 75,000 miles. In order to continue with the most efficient and cost-effective fleet program, we must replace line vehicles prior to the mileage allotment and the warranty. I appreciate your continued support in the reinvestment of our police fleet. Chief Martineau, would you like anything to add to that?
You said it all. Thank you, Council.
Questions? Councilor Zarella.
Brief point of clarification, just for anyone listening. I believe that would have been, what, 35,000 miles?
35,000. Did I just
Okay.
say 35? I'm sorry, 35,000.
I
Yes.
knew that. I
Thank
just
you.
wanted
Yep.
to make sure anyone listening knew that.
35,000, yep.
No, I think this is kind of a no-brainer.
I remember several years ago, I think it was before my time, I think it was it was before 2008, the city used to have a policy where they would procure police vehicles via bonds. And the bonds would be short-term, they'd be 5-year loans, and the cars would get replaced every 3 years. So we were paying 2 full years of principal and interest payments on vehicles we were no longer using. I don't know who cooked up that idea, but I was pleased to see, at least since I've been on here, that the prior administration, this administration, are adopting policies that make more sense in terms of we should buy these cars at full value up front and not take out loans for vehicles where the loan exceeds the life of the vehicle.
And I would like to add one thing, that the extended warranty that we've been purchasing in the last 4 years, we're seeing our return on investment tenfold on that. They increased it to 100,000 miles. I just found out that this week. It's now a 100,000-mile warranty. So our return on investment on that alone is tenfold.
So one question for the chief.
Council Boschman?
So chief, the average age of your fleet now? Your age of your fleet?
That would be hard to calculate, because we have a front line of cruises, which consists of 7 cruises, and then once they reach that stage of 100,000 miles, we try to put them to our back line of cruises, which is another 7. So they could range anywhere from we have some 2002 Crown Vics still left in our fleet, but we scale them down from the first line to the second line to the third line. The third line are being utilized by SROs. Those are the cars you see parked at the schools during the daytime. So I could come up with an average, but I'm not prepared to give you an average a year of vehicles.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we accept the chief's report.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve 3419. So Chief, on that, these 3 new vehicles are going to move the first line vehicles to the second line?
These 3 will go into the front line vehicles, the ones that you see operating 7 days a week.
Yep.
Those 3 that they're replacing, those will become our replacements. So when one of the front lines go down, we take one of the replacements, put it in the front line, and it goes back and forth.
Are you scrapping any?
By the time it hits third line, our vendor, Brownell Auto,
Yep.
who we have a contract with the city, we have 3 vehicles down there that we use as scrap, and he takes them apart piece by piece. We get every cent we can out of a car, and by the time we ship it to the scrap yard, there's not too much left of that vehicle.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve 3419. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. 3519, in order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $35,000 to be charged against available funds and credited to community development expenses rail trail amount for the purpose of purchasing a parcel of land required for the development of the Twin Cities Rail Trail. I have a letter here from Executive Director of Community Development, Tom Skowerski, to the mayor on December 26th of last year. Dear Mayor, I respectfully request an appropriation of $35,000 for the purpose of a parcel required for the development of the Twin Cities Rail Trail. As you know, the majority of the property needed for this 4.5-mile trail was purchased last year through a combination of a federal earmark, funding from the City of Leominster, and funding from the City of Fitchburg's Community Development Block Grant Program. The banked rail line that we purchased did not reach all the way to the intermodal station, which is the desired northern terminus of the trail. The subject parcel, along with a small number of minor easements or land purchases adjacent to the intermodal station, funding for which will be addressed at a later time, are required to move forward with this project. The Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs has had an appraisal undertaken of the subject property on the city's behalf. The owner, Pan Am, has been receptive to negotiating a sale to the city. All appropriate procurement requirements will be undertaken to purchase this unique property. Design of the TCRT is being led and paid for through the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. Funding for construction of this project has been committed by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and currently stands at close to $16 million. The city is required to undertake the right-of-way purchases and easements to leverage this project. We feel the TCRT will be an amazing recreational and economic boom for the city and hope that you support this request for funding. I have with us this evening Ms. Amy LeBlanc from the Community Development Office. Hello. Questions from councilors? Councilor Zarella.
I'd like to, Mr. Blank speak first if
Yeah,
you'd
sure.
like to.
Yep.
I'm just here to answer any questions you have. I think the letter pretty much covers.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to ask if there's any rough estimate on what the remaining small parcel costs will be
Right now, we're estimating an additional 30,000, but we haven't received the final 25% plans yet, so we don't know exactly what we're looking at.
Right.
That it remains to be seen, but we don't expect it to be a very high figure.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to get a ballpark idea of what we were looking at for the final installment. No, I mean, I think we've come this far on this. It would be really silly to stop when we're this close to the end.
Council Boschman.
Now, going back to his question. So far, we spent over $100,000, not counting this $35,000. Now, I brought this up to you when I was down there to see you today on Larry Casasa, and I was under the assumption, and I told you this, that when we paid over $100,000, that was going to be it, and the rail trail was going to be self-sufficient. Would be no maintenance from the city at all. It would be all volunteers, and donations will be given. Now, I have no problem because I'm going to vote for this project, but now, the way he's talking, there might be more purchased land we may have to require?
When we purchased the original rail banked property from CSX, that was a $2.5 million
Right.
purchase, I believe. The city paid $87,000 in CDBG funds out of our entitlement grant. That did not take us all the way to the rail trail. I'm not sure what your impression was at that time. I can't speak to that. But it's very minor additional land that will be needed on the northern end, the Fitchburg end. MassDOT, who's funding the project, feels it's very important that we get this all the way to the intermodal station to make it a true multimodal rail trail, to have it have the most impact. And they've committed, I have on the tip, $18 million that they have committed, which I can give you over the course of 2 different funding years. I'm not sure what the maintenance will bring. We have had some donations given to the maintenance of the trail. The Twin Cities Rail Trail Association is hoping to lead the charge for maintaining it. There may be additional, I don't know, police presence, but it's not expected to be a significant detriment to this city's budget, but in fact be a boon to the economic.
No, with all these, so when these studies start, can I ask you a question? Are they anticipating a lot of people using the rail trail? Do you have any idea on the studies that they did?
What most communities have found, that rail trails have been very well accepted by their communities, and they in fact bring people from other communities to the rail trails. And this one will be used both for recreation and hopefully for commuting, for people getting themselves to their jobs along Route 12 and getting themselves to the intermodal station. I think it's going to be a real benefit to the city.
Okay.
And most communities find that that is the case.
You want a motion? I make a motion, we accept the 35-19.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve 3519. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Last item on the agenda, 3619, order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $35,000, same to be charged against available funds and credited to Council on Aging Building Maintenance for the purpose of constructing an interior French drain, sump pump, gutters, in connection to an existing discharge line, and for providing support for a timber beam in the basement. Have a letter here from the Director of the Senior Center, Joan Goodwin, to the Mayor on January 31st of this year. The Council on Aging Board of Directors and myself are respectfully requesting funds to address the continued water issue down in the upper left corner of the basement on the alley side. This room is where the new ventilation project was recently installed. Water penetration in this area is occurring through the foundation walls and collects on the basement floor. In previous years, a sump pump was addressing this concern, however, has been decommissioned for some time. A good faith estimate has been provided for $26,621. This funding would construct an interior French drain, sump pump, gutters, in connection to an existing cast iron discharge line. Please note that this estimate assumes the discharge line is connected to a storm water line and is functional. The Council on Aging will be working with the Purchasing Department to collect 3 bids. The second project the Council on Aging and I are requesting funding for is support for a timber beam in the basement. During the ventilation project, it was discovered that parts of the timber beam's fibers were splitting and are in need of LVL support. A quote was provided to sister the beam and engineering documents to address the structural repairs for a total of $7,716. This is before you. Councilor Zarella.
First, I'd just like to ask my fellow counselors, since we don't have anyone before us on this tonight, do either of you happen to know exactly what a French drain is?
I do not, Counselor.
The Boschman beam.
Well, either way, I think this,
I don't know, unless there's an engineer out in the crowd.
Counselor Donnelly can answer that question.
We're not entertaining comments from the crowd.
Okay, if I may speak.
Yes,
on-
Mr.
On, I believe a French drain would be some kind of piping underground with holes in it that allows the water in the ground to go into the pipe and then be sent to
okay.
a sump pump, in this case.
The auditor's right, I'm reading it right now.
So it would go around the you'd run it around the perimeter of the basement, either inside or outside, depending on where you're going.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is a good building. It's an old historic building. It's a building that sees a lot of use. This is exactly the kind of thing we've been talking about. You know, do the maintenance as things come up, fix things before they become a big problem, and we save ourselves 10 times the money down the road. Maybe not quite 10 times, but, you know, we save ourselves these big costs that we've been seeing all year for catching up on things that we should have been doing all along.
I couldn't agree more. These kinds of orders make me very happy to see because, you know, it goes against the narrative that I myself have peddled for many years, that we don't do a good job keeping up with our buildings. And, you know, this is another capital improvement project for a building that we hold dear to us and is a cornerstone of the city and community events. So, you know, orders like these, I don't even flinch to accept on my end. So,
I make a motion we accept 36-19.
Second?
motion made and seconded to approve 36-19. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.